All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Support webinar. Today's date is Monday, December the 3rd, 2018. This is a Monday night webinar, and the title of tonight's webinar is Identified Swings Are Very Important. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, Forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar, other webinars we have, our live trading room, or anything else with Viper Trading Systems should ever be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? If not, we'll go ahead and get started. By the way, if I sound kind of tongue twisted every once in a while, actually, followed Charles's example. I broke a tooth and it was real sharp and it's made my tongue sore. So if I sound weird, I think I can get an appointment quicker to the dentist though than he did here in Okie instead of where he's at. All right, let's go ahead and show a chart here. Now, real quick, I'm going to go over a few things. Identified swings is what we're going to be talking about tonight. And I've talked about those pretty extensively. This webinar is going to be, quite a bit of a repeat of what we teach. But how important are they to your trading? And what's the left side versus the right side? And this has nothing to do with politics. Left side versus right side. And also lightning 1 through 4, and then wait for that retrace. Extremely important to wait for that retrace. And the retrace can be minor, as much as a minor, retracement, or it can be as much as a deep retracement. And it's up to us as traders to, pick that out by, retracements into mid-band, retracements into, your money band, what we call the money band between 3 and 5. That's your lines 3 to 5. Okay. And then I watch my power meters for retrace trades. Now, one thing you got to be careful about the power meters, they go from one direction to the other, and then they may not change for a while. Okay, so it's important that you catch it when it does. Let's see, I don't know, looking at my charts, what is lightning 1 through 4? Raymond, I'm going to show you exactly how to see that. All right, so, and watch your mid band for the direction for the retrace. These are just extremely important things to look for. Now, tonight, what we're going to talk about is identified swings, pretty heavily, and how to see them in real time, because seeing your identified swings in real time is really important to your success in trading. For instance, when I look at this chart right here, I personally see on my lightning 3, that is, see your thrust, your retrace, and they haven't even drawn lightning 3 again, because the way our scripts do is they don't draw from yellow to yellow to yellow. They draw from yellow, this is your swing down here at the bottom, to green, to yellow, and until we get another green, it's not going to draw it. Okay, but that's our longer term trend pretty much, is your power meter 3 and your power meter 4 for sure. Okay, so when I look at this, let's just take off lightning 2 for just a second. I'm going to take off lightning 2, and I'll take off lightning 1. All right, and Raymond, I'm going to show you how to draw those in just a second too. Now, when you see this, for instance, there's no prices on this chart. The only way that this swing can be identified is if it takes this swing out. Okay, so in other words, an identified swing, let's say that it did something like this, then that's your identified swing, okay, on your lightning 3. Okay, what if it did this, came down, and then popped back up? This would be your identified swing. And it's real simple to watch that even in real time, because keep in mind, even with 4-range charts, you can still see the minor swings, the secondary swings, the medium swings, and the larger swings. And we basically trade all 4. You want to be careful going against the prevailing trend at the time. And keep in mind that the left versus the right is really important also. Okay, for instance, on let's say that this had done something like this, and came up a little bit like that, but then it broke like that. Okay, now this is still your identified swing on the left. See here? This is what we call the identified swing on the left right here. And this is the identified swing on the right. Okay, now what I look at when I'm looking at trading this is I'm looking more at that left side. Let me get this so you can see it better. We'll go ahead and make it nice and bold. All right. So when I look to this, for instance, if I was seeing this in real time right here, I would expect this to head up if this was a higher low over here. Even though this did like an ABC, I'm still looking to my left. And, you know, we're hypothetically drawing this, but this is real-time stuff too that happens all the time. So I'm looking at this swing as my high, my low, my higher high. So this is identified on the left. This is identified on the right. Okay, now that's a lower high, so let's change the color of it. Just for the fun of it, we'll leave it at like 5. Okay, now notice that this is a high, a low, and a lower high. And when was this identified? The moment it took this out with the close of a bar, or X ticks that you tell it to. Okay, but this is definitely a lower high, and this is actually even a lower low than this one, right? But it's not lower than this one. Okay, so what if you were to decide, you know what, I'm going to short this, and then all of a sudden the chart does this instead and starts stair-stepping back up? Because what actually happened when you're looking to the left to trade the right, let's just say it just went up like that. Okay, all that did was like an A, B, C, and then still held your left-hand swing. Okay, so that would still be an uptrend. Okay, if you were drawing on your chart, for instance, you'd see that you had a low, you had a high, you had a higher low, higher high, higher low, kind of stair-stepped around, higher high. This is then your identified swing right here, and even here is your secondary one. Everybody see that? Okay, and this is important to look at because, you know, I see times, for instance, where somebody will go short, or say they're shorting, you know, like mid-band to give an example, and then I'm looking for like a phantom trade. Okay, now keep in mind that if phantom trades don't work, that more than likely you're going to get that short you're looking for anyway. If you were long and you were, you know, looking at a phantom to give an example. Okay, does anybody have any questions on this so far? Even though this is hypothetical right here, this is really not that hypothetical because it happens all the time. You see a high, a low, lower high, lower low. Doesn't take out the low over here. More than likely later on, this will even get a dot for a lightning 3, and then off it goes. Okay, so you just keep following that. Now let's look at the real chart, and then by these rules, let's see if we can figure out where the next trade is. Okay, so I'm going to take this down, and this is our chart right now. Okay, you're seeing the chart as we're looking at it right this very second right now. Okay, now what I would do in a case like this, there's a couple of things you can actually do. You already missed the thrust, right? But you could also, if you wanted to, you could actually see that you're getting a high. Now this is going to a micro. Remember just a couple of minutes ago, we were looking more at larger swings. Okay, but it's the same principle on your smaller swings too. Okay, so for instance, you have a high, you have a low, you have a lower high, you have a lower low. It didn't technically close below it. Okay, but it's still doing a little stair stepping down right now, isn't it? Just a little bit of stair stepping down. Okay, so for instance, if this doesn't go ahead and come down to mid-band or maybe a support level like so, you can actually look for what we call the minimum criteria trade, which would be in this area here, or if this actually does decide to start, you know, stair stepping back up after a little thrust, retrace, thrust, if we can get that at all. But you can clearly see right now, you could even draw a trend line on it. Now that would be a risky trade in my opinion because that's actually already thrust up. Okay, but don't be a deer in the headlights and miss some good trades too, because just like I taught on Saturday, you can take this trade if, for instance, it decides to break, pop up, and not take out the swing at all. Okay, with like the close of the bar to give an example. Okay, anybody have any questions on that? So let's go ahead and start Object Trader and see if we can get any kind of a trade on here. All right. Now, what I'd be looking at right this very moment, I see a support level to the left. I'm looking to the left. And I also see one here. So I'd draw two lines. Okay. Now, the way this thrust up so far, they're not necessarily going to come down here yet. Okay. They'll finally come down to a phantom level or even a mid-band level, but they don't have to do it right away, because keep in mind that this mid-band continues stair-stepping the direction of the trend. So also does the phantom area, line 2, and all that. You know, they'll stair step also. Okay. So in other words, when we say a phantom trade, you know, say for instance, you were looking for a phantom down in this area right here. That's not necessarily going to be there if this continues stair stepping up. That phantom trade could literally be all the way up here by then. Everybody see that? And we'll look at it in real time and see if it does anything like that. As a rule, you will get some type of a thrust and a retrace. Okay. And keep in mind that when this opened up yesterday afternoon and thrust up, there was a pretty good little phantom trade, but then see the midband turned red. Now, how many of you would have shorted this in here after that pop up? Because I kind of doubt if I would have, you know, because I'd have been looking for, you know, pretty good retrace and see if I could get, you know, some kind of a trade. But I also don't think I would actually, you know, decide to just box this in and go long yet either. I would like for it to go out of this stuff, get the green background again, and a good mid-band like this. And you can always wait around for those because it will happen. Now, you don't know exactly when it's going to happen. Okay. So if you decide that you do want to, you know, like chase a trade, then you pretty much got to chase it just as soon as you see it and put a really tight stop. Let's see, do find a long horizontal midband is good support resistance off to the left as our big dot swings. Well, big dot swings, Cross, on your question, are really important to changing trend directions. You know, for instance, let's say this would have kind of double topped up here. Well, looking to the left to trade the right, I see support right under here, and I see support right under here as far as my Lightning 3 is concerned, and even here, but this is a little bit stronger right here. So for instance, if they were to decide to break this and come back and kiss it, I'd be more than likely shorting it. Okay? Let's see if we can get something here. We'll just, if we can get to like line 6 or a little bar back to the upside, if we can get this to go ahead and do like an ABC, I will go ahead and take this, but I'm going to be very, very tight on the stop. We'll just see. Yeah, we already missed it. All right, now, where would your trade be on this chart? Anybody? Well, we missed the thrust just then because I turned it on 15 times. But anyway, if you would have done the little trend line, you might have gotten it, but we missed it. So let's look to the left to trade the right. Looking to the left, I see swings across here. Everybody see that? Thrust, like a big ABC Gartley type move. So I'd be looking for a trade right in this area right here, if this was to decide to come back at all. Okay, let's see if we can get something. Now, with identified swings, does everybody see that if they take out this little swing right across here, that they're no longer heading up on what we call the micro trend? Okay, because you have a high, you have a low, you have a higher high. Okay, that doesn't mean you're going to short this, because we're talking about the micro trend then. Okay, but if they do break micro, they will more than likely go down and check this medium swing. All right, let's see if they do that at all. I'll draw a line where support is, and I'll draw a line. Now, this is actually support on the left. See this right here? High, here, low, higher high, higher low, higher high. This is what I call my secondary swing. Okay. Now, in the micro area of trading lightning, you do not, as a rule, want to take out your secondary swing. So I'm looking for a trade right now as we speak, right around this area right here, without taking out this swing. Everybody see that? Okay. Now, keep in mind that on the left side of the chart, though, pardon me, the right side of the chart, if they get a high, a low, a lower high, and break here, then they are heading down on what we call the micro trend. Let me show you what I mean by micro versus your bigger swings. Okay, I'm going to draw lightning 1. By the way, Raymond, on your question, lightning 1 is the Alt key, lightning 2 is shift, lightning 3 is control, and lightning 4 is the backspace key. Now, on lightning 3 and 4, you have to draw them from larger swings. Okay, your larger swings means the numbered ones. Now, on a lightning 4, it has to be a white or a navy blue on the text. Okay, so if I wanted to draw lightning 4 to give an example, let me bring this chart back over. It'll be easier to see it. All right, see this white right here, and see these. This is not navy, but it's because it's got a black background. See, if I was to draw lightning 4 here, I would hold down my backspace key and left click my mouse. Okay, and if I miss one of them, you can do it twice and you'll get it. Okay, so you have a high, you have a low, lower high, but is that actually established yet? No. Is this one established? Only when it takes out this swing, and those look pretty close to the same within 4 ticks. Okay, so this was definitely breaking down when it took out these swings, right? And you had a nice monster move down. Okay, now that's lightning 4 right there. That's your larger swings. Your lightning 3, you'll go to, on your bottom, you want to get a yellow, and on the top, you want to get a green. So you just simply hold down the control key, like so. Now this was that big gap up on Sunday night. So basically what you have here, let's just diagnose this in what we call identified swings. All right. So let's say we have a high, we have a low, we have a lower high. It's lower high because it takes out this swing. See right across here? It took out that swing. Now what does it do? It comes back and checks it. Now you have 5203, which is the same on both sides here. So you are taking out this swing over here, and you have a higher low here. Okay, so this is actually, for all intents and purposes, starting to head back up, right? If they take out this swing over here. And you can tell that by turning on your lightning 1, which is your Alt key. And so far, it's just pretty sideways. Now there, it took it out. See? See what I was talking about there? This is lightning 3, which is your control key. This is lightning 1, which is your Alt key. And to get rid of those, you just simply hold the Alt key down, left click your mouse, and it'll get rid of it. You want to draw lightning 2, you simply hold the shift key down and left click. Like that. Okay? Now, if you're looking, for instance, at lightning 2, let's just diagnose this real quick. You have a low, you have a high. Is that a high or low yet? Didn't take out the swing, right? Is this a lower high? It did take out the swing. So that is, pardon me, a lower low. Is this a lower low and this a higher high? Yes. Now what about here? You have a high, low, higher high, identified swing. High, low, higher high, identified swing. High, low, lower high, identified here. Now notice though that it respected the one on the left. See there? That's what they do. They continually check, looking to the left to trade the right. They're continually checking. See how they barely took that out and then they took off like a bullet? That's usually what they do. And you got to really get to discern, you know, for instance, do I put my line here or do I put my line here at this secondary swing? See, at the time, you know, keep in mind wherever you start counting from, that's where you want to start counting your swings. Okay. Like low, high, higher, low, higher, high, identified, high, low, higher, high, identified. So this is what, let's pretend this doesn't even exist yet. This is your secondary swing. This is your primary swing on this little move here. Okay. So when I see it real close like this, I usually bring my stop to like my secondary swing. Okay. You don't have to bring it all the way down here, by the way, because if lightning's going to hold, if you're going to start stair stepping up, see, this did like an ABC, but it's still held on the left. So then you do a low, a high, a higher low. When is this a higher low? When it takes this high out. Okay. Now you have a high, you have a low, you have a higher high. Identified swing. High, low, higher high. Identified swing. So this is your primary identified, and this is your secondary identified swing right there. Everybody see that? Okay, that's important to see because, you know, when they break micro, they'll usually go down and check these like primary and even secondary swings. And then if they bounce off of them, you know, you can pretty much count on your trend still heading the direction you were shooting for. Okay, let's just play this in real time and see if it holds swings or not. Let's just play it. We'll just let it play for a few minutes. Okay, see how it just barely checked the swing. See how that did that again? Everybody see that left to right stuff? It did it here and it did it here. Okay, so when I say, for instance, that I like to look at these secondary swings as your stops on your smaller lightning, that's really a good place to be, you know, for an overall runner. And you got to fade it a little bit because that bar could have closed below that swing right there and still taking you out. Everybody see that? Okay, now what you're looking at right now, what do you have? You have a low, you have a high, you have an established higher low as soon as it takes this swing out. Don't even count this anymore. Okay, except looking to the left to trade the right. We'll watch it again in a minute. But then you have a high, low, higher high, higher low, higher high, identified swing, right? Secondary identified swing. Let's play it again and see what it actually did. Okay, you took out your secondary identified swing, but what, just barely? Let's see if this bounces here. I don't know if it will or not, but let's just check it. It could be a breakdown. We'll find out. See how it just barely checked that secondary swing? Stair stepping up, low, high, higher, low, higher, high, higher, low, higher, high, higher, low. So far, higher, high. See there? See how they check those secondary swings? Because see what the deal is, you're looking at like ABC type moves. You know, you're actually getting, you know, a primary swing. You're getting a secondary swing. You know, that's constantly all over. And if you look to the left to trade the right and keep your lines on your charts, you'll be amazed at how you could stay with like a really good runner by just simply watching these. Okay, now keep in mind that this probably more than likely went into a deep probe or phantom. It looks like it did to me anyway. Let's see where it did go, just for the fun of it. I'll bet it went red. Yeah, see there? Right here. See how that went red right there? But we were looking at this on the swings themselves. Okay? Now, let me ask you a quick question. If you were looking at this chart like right now, you know, what would it really take to actually start breaking this thing down? Anybody? You're at what, 52.78? You're all the way up to 53.50. Definitely not a bad little trade, is it? Okay, you just danced off of Phantom right here, right? Let's see if that continues. Let's go with primary swing on the right, secondary swing on the right. Let's see what it does. Primary swing, secondary swing. That's also a lightning 3. So if they break that, they're not continuing up as much, but you haven't, there's probably more than likely like a little phantom setting up. We'd have to look at it. See how I drew your lines and everything though? How this still held down here? 47, that's pretty much a low. Let's see, high, low, lower, high, lower, low. That would have to hold to me to continue to keep going up. If they break that, I would probably be looking more than likely for shorts. You want to see if it actually happens or not? Well, you don't know yet, but let's just see. Let's see if they take this up. They are getting a lower high. See your high, low, lower, high, lower, low. So they could actually start breaking this down, couldn't they? Let's see what they do. See if they take this out. I'll draw a line, but we'll draw it more for resistance than lightning. Let me change colors on it so we don't think it's more of our lightning look. Let's see what happens. Oh, okay. Well, actually, that was the end of the day, is what that was. So we can't go any further anyway. Let's see. How the heck will I ever learn this? Oh, you can learn this, Raymond. What you really just have to do more than anything, and until you get good at it, don't pay as much attention to lightning 1 or 2 as you do to lightning 3. Let me take that off the chart and I'll show you. Let me take lightning 2 off, and we've only got lightning 3. And let's take the lines off because we don't care about them. Looking at identified swings on lightning 3, let's just go back to 5 o'clock yesterday. You've got a low, a high over here. Let's just don't count this over here. Let's start at a certain point. So we got a low here that's established when it takes out this high. This is an established low right that very moment. Okay. Now, this is a high, this is a low, but is this my low yet? Not until it takes out the swing to the left. It did take it out, so is that a new established low? Yes. All right. Then you have a high, a low, a higher high, but just barely higher. But that is an identified swing. Okay. So they take it out. Does that mean you short it yet? Nope. Because look at your swing to the left. This is actually your swing on the right at the time. They barely take it out. Even on lightning 3, you still got to look to the left. Okay, notice how you're still stair-stepping up, and then look what they did. They just made this thing go monster. Okay, now this is why so many people will get taken out of trades because, you know, just to give you an example, let's say that you're one of those that likes to box in at mid-band, to give an example. Let's go to it. Bear with me a second. Now, if you were looking at this in real time, let's see, this is on, oh, we got more of a day to trade. We could actually turn on the clock and trade today. I'll show you that too, and we'll diagnose it also, okay? But what you want to do is make sure that you go in the direction of the trend, okay? And the trend is really up until they take out this little phantom area, okay? Now, does that mean that you can't short like below swings? I don't like to short. For instance, see how this is going 1, 2, 3, kind of gets a lower high and then breaks this. Well, what if you shorted that and it gave you 2 ticks and then bounced in your face? That's not a short. Okay. Now, to somebody that's really, really aggressive, maybe they are, but they're not for me. Okay. Because I see this chart just literally stair-stepping up, stair-stepping up, stair-stepping up. Okay. And that's why if I miss a trade like this, I don't really care. Because to give an example, you know, here's a phantom right here. Is that a legitimate trade? And how many, if you were looking at this in real time, say you just got to your computer and you said, you know what? I've heard this talked about all the time that I'm going to short mid-band. Well, do you short it on the first bar? That might be a fake. Do you short it on the second bar? Like that, or maybe the second bar again? Well, by then you're too late because it's going to bounce on you. Okay? Because I can tell you what, these phantoms, if you use them correctly, and even when they're just deep probes, that's not a phantom. This is a phantom. Okay, the reason this is a phantom is because it goes between line 2 and 1. This is not a phantom, but it does get into what we call the money shade area. The money shade area is from here to here, from 3 to 5, line 3 to line 5. Okay, that's what we've nicknamed the money shade, money band area for a long time. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to, anybody want a particular instrument, or you want to just trade oil, since we called trades on oil this morning in the room? What says the team? You want to just look at some identified swings? All right, let's go about the time that I like to trade. Bear with me a second. I usually get up about 6. So I'm going to change this to where it does the 3rd also, because I did download data. Oil's good? All right. All right, let's see here. This is the 29th. I don't want the 29th. I want the 3rd, which is today. Bear with me a second. About 6 o'clock or so when I get up. Bear with it just a moment and we'll load. And then I want y'all to tell me where the identified swings are on the chart, okay? And when, for instance, that you would take a trade based on that. Let's see if we can get these charts to load. Hopefully I don't lock up. Okay, here we go. Here we go. This is like 6:08 in the morning. I usually get up around 6 o'clock or so. And if I miss a good trade, by the way, you got to be really, really, really careful taking a trade, if you miss it. Can't type quick enough to answer your questions. Let's see. Lewis, are you asking one? Bear with me a second. Well, the color difference in the dots cross is because we use Lightning 3 is your green and your yellow, and Lightning 4 is your navy blue and your white. Now, if you don't see white, then it's not a large enough swing. Now, I'm not saying to trade Lightning 4, but we do have it as a meter. Okay? By the way, you can change those meters to whatever you want them to be. You realize that, right? Everybody realize that? Because you can do that. So let's see. Let's see if we can get a trade. What do y'all think? Let's look to the left to trade the right, if we're going to get a trade at all. All right, I see right this very moment, they haven't checked that little area right there because they checked higher than that before. Let's see where they were checking. It looks like they were checking here. Looking to the left to trade the right. Yep, they checked there. So they haven't checked right here just yet. Okay, everybody see that? So could we possibly be looking for a trade right in that area? Oh, no chart, sorry. Sorry, I had to load charts and I didn't want them to lock up. Okay, what if you got up and it's 6 a.m. in the morning and you see this right here? What have you really got to do in a situation like this? Because, yeah, somebody said you're double bottoming and pretty much just sleepy sideways, right? Just sleepy sideways, okay? So y'all tell me which trade you would do right here. What trade would you want to see set up on here? Now I'm going to draw some areas that I think that we're going to hit. Looking to the left to trade the right. This is a swing here. Okay, this is another swing right here. Like so. Come on, draw. Like so. Okay, see it? Thrust, retrace, thrust. This is the immediate left. This is the next step of the left. This is the next step of the left when I go over here and see an exact swing. And usually this one you can kind of discount because they have already hit that one. See, it's already hit it, so we're good to go. So we take that off. So I'm looking for a little trade. It's going to either click here or here and roll over. Okay. Now, if you're looking for a minimum criteria trade, you're looking for it to at least take stealth out. And it looks like my stealth is not drawing on my chart. Let me see why. Let's go real quick. We'll reload the template. And we'll have to reload Object Trader, unfortunately, too. Give it just a second. Did I get stealth back? Nope. Okay, where'd you go, stealth? Oh, I know why, because it's paused. Let's see if we can get stealth back. Stealth's pretty important. When you start and stop data, you get this, and it may not even come back until I reload a chart. It doesn't look like it's going to. No stealth. But let's just reload a chart. We'll just grab a brand spanking new one now that the data's running. Oil. Template, and let's see. Still no stealth. What's the deal? Stealth trend. I'm going to just put the, instead of the MTF stealth, I'm going to do the regular stealth so that since I'm starting and stopping data to show things, I'll just use the regular stealth trend that's set with whatever chart you're using. It's not the MTF. There we go. Okay, it looks like we didn't get a trade just yet, did we? We didn't get a trade just yet, so let's see if we can get one. We'll wait for it to come back. Let's go ahead and draw our lines again. Okay, so you have an identified swing here if this closes, so I'll draw a line. That's my micro. This is a swing right here to the left. And this is what I call the minimum criteria between stealth and line 2. So we're going to draw an area here that we could also get a trade. All right, let's see if we can get one. Starting to retrace a little bit. All right, let's see if we can get one. Now, in a case like this, by the way, could you actually do what I like to do, and that's what's that power meter and even stealth? Okay, now power meter is only going to change to green if I get a low, a high, and a higher low and a higher high. Now, we haven't got that yet, so what's the power meter? And let's see if we get something like that. Still could be stair-stepping down. If that bar closes up, it'll be a higher low. Nope, not now. See, it just tagged it, so we'll see if we can get a higher low. Okay, there's a double bottom. There's a little power meter right there. Everybody see that? Now, you want to at least get up to your minimum criteria or above stealth or something like that. So I've got my lines drawn where I think this trade should be. And let's see if we can get it. We're not going to chase it. See if we can get one. Not minimum criteria enough to me. That's still stair-stepping down. We need it to stair-step up a little bit. Like a retrace. Okay, that's a higher low, by the way. See it? Low, high, higher low, but it's not a higher high yet. Not identified. Everybody see that? High, low, not a higher high yet. So this doesn't count just yet. See how they just tested it again? Now we go again with low. See, when they double like that, you're not really forming what we call lightning identified. Now that's probably where I would more than likely, yeah, it's too late now, but it came really, really close to my resistance. We'll wait a second and see if we can get it. No, we're going to miss it. Everybody see how drawn? There we go. There we go. Low, high, higher, low. And even if they take this out, now keep in mind, looking to the left to trade the right. There we go. We just took it out, just barely. I'd probably sell one about right there because that's actually resistance. And I put a pretty tight stop on it, like right across there now. Now, as everybody see over here to the left, you have a high, a low, a higher high. So is this also a lightning swing? And the answer is yes. Everybody see it? So if this does decide to break this, could I add one? Something like that, if it decides to take out that line to the downside. Now, I didn't wait on that one, but I probably would have if I was trading it with my account, because I'd want to break that 52.92. Otherwise, you're liable to just get stopped out. We'll see. Got my stop in, though. I've only literally got a very, very tight stop. Not sure why that's saying. Yeah, I guess that is a tight stop. Very tight stop. Okay, so we have a high, a low, so far a lower high, but nope, maybe by a tick. We'll find out. Same top pretty much right there. Now, what if you were more of a conservative type trader instead of the way I just did that? Well, you could do what we teach in the room, and that's to box it in, right? So you hit a region. You say, okay, this shouldn't take out this swing over here to the left. Let's short it if it touches the bottom by like a tick. See, it touched through the bottom by a tick. Put your stop up here at the swing and see if you can get a few ticks. And I usually like to put it on exit on close simply because they like to wick them. You don't have to use exit on close, by the way, but I personally like exit on close because it gives you a little bit more of the chance that the trade's going to hold than if they just wick that area. Because they can easily wick it by a tick and take you out. See if we can, we got one contract on, we'll see if we can add one. Got a little box drawn, there's two. Bring my stop. Well, my stop already is there, so we're good. Well, predictor is actually saying that you got, that's a lower high, by the way. I'd probably even add one, see how it's just dancing around my little box. Then I bring my stop even a little tighter, like right across here. Like so. Come on. Like so. And I'd probably take two off at this predictor. And I'd tighten my stop again. I tighten my stop again, right across here with the lightning. Just like boxing it in, right? And we got stopped out, so we only made like 30 bucks on that trade. No big deal, okay? Because you're still green. Now, usually as a rule, you'd want to take one or two of those off to begin with. But let's look at something else here also. Let's see where our next trade is. Anybody want to chart it out and see if they can tell me? Or if it even decides to go the other direction. Let's draw on our chart and we'll see if we can tag this. Looking at lightning, identified swings. All right, you have a high, low, lower high, lower low. So lightning 3 is right here. All right. If they were to happen to break that, I'd probably be looking to more than likely go long on a little thrust above and pull back. If they do go ahead and roll over here, well, we just hit a predictor. I just missed that one. Oh, well, we won't take that one. Let's see if we can get a trade. Now notice that you are starting to stair step up a little bit. So you have totally a bottom out right here. You are taking out swings that are basically not identified because they pretty much just had this little range right here. This is the toughest area to see identified swings. The only one you have that's identified is thrust, retrace, and it hadn't even taken out that top yet. So there's really no identified swing over here except right here. And since that's actually equivalent to here within 2 ticks or so, that's really what I consider to be my secondary swing. Everybody see that? So you want to see if we can get something? Well, if you're a gutsy trader, you could actually put a region in if it takes out this swing right across here. But keep in mind that if you do this, you've got to have such a tight stop on it if it takes that out that you don't let it go against you at all. Okay? That's if you want to do something like that. Now here, you have a high, you have a low, you have a lower high. So I would probably box this in something like this. See your little support level that they've got? So if they do decide to take this out, then I would more than likely go ahead and short that. Okay, so let's see which way we get. Now I don't like just taking a break above here, even though that would be a low, high, higher low, and even a higher high. Simply because then you've got resistance. That's not a good risk reward type trade. This one, on the other hand, could be if they take out Lightning 3. Okay, let's see if we can get one of them. I'll just go either direction. Now this is looking to the left to trade the right, because what's this? This is actually your Lightning 3. Draw it, come on, there we go. Everybody see that? High, low, higher, high, higher, low on the left side of the chart. On the right side of the chart, they're taking out my Lightning 3. Okay, that turned out to be okay and decent. I'd probably put this like in the phantom area. Now keep in mind that if you were to get in this trade, I would put that stop pretty tight, because they took out resistance right over here to the left. And that's what I consider a fairly risky trade, but not if they take it and go immediately with it. If they would have gone up out of this box and then pulled right back in it, you kill the trade instantaneously. Okay? The only way they could hurt you is if they came out of the box and then slammed it back in the box. But notice how stealth had actually changed green way down here. Wow, look at that thing go. Now, let me show you another thing that you could be looking for too. Okay, when you see a thrust, retrace thrust like this is your identified swing, right? We knew it was by looking to the left to trade the right. Okay, but you could also do this and draw a trend line along those highs like so, and you could see that you're breaking your trend line. Now, sometimes when I'm trading, I'll go ahead and watch it break the trend line like that, and then they'll just kind of ping around it. And then you box it in to actually take it only when it takes the new box out. And you would actually get in a little bit sooner than that. Or you can use stealth, okay? Or you can do it like I just did, which I think is a safer way to do it, because that's a Lightning 3 swing. If they break Lightning 3, they usually head up. If they break Lightning 3, they usually head down. See, here's Lightning 3 here. You have a high, low, lower high, identified swing when it takes out the low over here. So that's actually doing a ABC, right? So this is actually still a short background and everything. So when they took out Lightning 3, they pretty much headed down, didn't they? But over here, when they take out Lightning 3, they headed up. Now, unfortunately, we don't have our scripts where they can change as quick as this, because truthfully, if we did, there'd be too many instances where it could fake you out. Okay? But if you get in the habit of watching Lightning 3, you'll find that a lot of times, if they'll break Lightning 3, especially after a ratchet down, I'm talking about to the upside. Now, if they were to do this, let's pretend this is not here. And let's say they just barely took this out over here, and then took this out. No, you don't want to do that. Okay. You want to at least ratchet down from a previous low. See, that went all the way from 87 down to 80. So that's a good 7 ticks or better. Well, 7 ticks exactly, as a matter of fact, right? 52.87 to 52.80. So that ratcheted down. Now, if they, like I say, if they just go sideways, let's say you were looking at this like this, and you happen to have lightning 3 draw, you don't really want to take this until it pops above it, pulls back and kisses it, and then takes off. Okay? But if it does ratchet down like it did, you can usually trust that lightning 3. Everybody see that? Okay. Otherwise, you'll miss some good trades like this. And by the way, when I was trading oil this morning, and when I got up and everything, at first I was shorting right there where I was talking about right here, where this hit this mid-band and everything. But I draw my trend lines on my charts, and I was watching this, and when it, pretty much bottomed out and everything, I think if I remember right, I was in this trade right about above here, because it was stair stepping up when it took this out, and for sure when it took this out. Everybody see that? Okay. Now looking to the left to trade the right. All right, let's see if we can figure out some more trades. What do y'all think? We'll draw on our charts. All right, we have a high, we have a low, we have a little lower high so far, but not much. Let's see if it goes on up. Okay, that's a high, that's a low, that's a lower high. Okay, this is your identified swing only if it takes this out. See, like that. All right, that took that swing out right there. Now, that was a good little bounce, by the way, if you were able to get that at mid-band. All right, let's look to the left to trade the right. Is this going to head up anymore? We'll find out, because you have a high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Okay, so let me ask you a quick question. Could you box this in like even right here? But keep in mind you've got a phantom. Okay, there hasn't been a phantom just yet. But what we would do is we would simply do this. We'd keep drawing our little box like so. We wouldn't short it just yet. Now we do have a high, low. This is pretty much an identified area right through here to the left. If they take that out, they could head down. And by the way, this was a trade that a lot of our people took this morning in the room. Okay, this little trade right here, if anybody remembers right, just faked you out just a little bit, and then it cratered through this box, if I remember right. Okay, but keep in mind, if you were long from over here, you got stopped out over here anyway, below that line. Okay, when you're trading these boxes, by the way, at the open of the market, what you actually want to do is you want to watch the swings. For instance, if it took this out, could you actually reverse that trade? That's a time marker on your chart. So, just be careful with it, because a lot of our people do like the idea, if this doesn't go ahead and head up and you close back in the box, you close out of the trade. It doesn't cost you that much because it closed back inside the box. Okay. Now, if this does decide to start stair stepping up instead, then, you just missed a decent trade. All right. Let's see here. Have a little trend line right across here. See, it's breaking that. So what do you think on that one? What would you do in a case like this? Anybody? You are starting to stair step down. You're absolutely right. See how you broke your trend line? So could you actually short this right here if it took out that swing? Well, it didn't just yet, but I went ahead and shorted it. But that's mainly because you're inside that box. But if you do short, like under mid-band, draw boxes and things like that, be real careful when you get down to phantoms, just in case they bounce. Okay? But if you shorted this, for instance, like on a trend line break, let's just move this out of the way. I'm going to show you how you would do a phantom. If they decide to go ahead and bounce that phantom, then you would box it in, and you could see if you could go the other direction, right? Okay, but if they don't, then you know that you're still going short. Okay, so let's watch it and see. So you have high, you have a low, you have a lower high, not a lower low yet. Your trend line was broken. We shorted a little bit late. I was planning on shorting that trend line, but anyway. So you keep boxing it in just in case they decide to take this up. All right, there's a phantom right there, but are you actually going long just yet on phantom? No, because you would actually box it in with resistance and see they didn't even go back up above it. And then you just keep boxing it in, and pretty soon when you see it change red background and everything, you know that they're either going to bounce, like at a resistance area, like line 2 to give an example, or they're going to continue to take this thing down. Okay? And you can get pretty decent trades that way. And by the way, when you get in the habit of watching these stealths, they're pretty much telling you they're breaking. I mean, we diagnosed this in real time, so we got out. You know, you could have gotten this trade maybe 7, 8 ticks. Then when the market opened, this was a little fake. If you drew your box like we did in the room this morning, some of our people got long right here, little fake trade, and then they busted the trend line. Okay, but let's say that you missed this entirely. Okay, now let's diagnose our chart one more time, and we're almost ready to wrap. We'll go ahead and get rid of any lines. Let's look to the left to trade the right. Thrust, retrace, thrust, same. So high, low, lower high, lower low. So here's what we call a micro identified swing. And this is what we call your lightning 3 identified swing. Okay, so let's see if we can get a trade. And what are we looking for? Anybody? What type of trade are we looking for now? How does a white open box get formed across? You just set your box on here. You go to your indicators, right click and go to indicators. Go to object trader regions. Where are they at? Right here. Object trader time region, and just set your box. See, like I had mine set for 7:59 Central Time and 8:34 Central Time and 8:55. Now 8:34 I've started using instead of 8:32 because they're moving these markets so fast. Not on oil so much, but the equities for sure. Okay, so it gives 3 or 4 minutes to really kind of draw that box and get in the trade. But you just draw it like that. You just set it for your time and your date, and then it'll draw it. Okay? All right, let's see if we can get a little trade. And by the way, keep in mind that even when charts are this color and everything, everybody see you still have a trend line. Could you draw a trend line across these highs and possibly get a little trade if it was to break up above that, just in case it decided to break the trend line? Could you actually possibly go for 10 ticks? More than one. Oh, come on. There we go. All right, so we got that set for 10 ticks if it breaks that trend line. Could you get a trade like that? Trendline trades work out beautifully. Now, like I said, a lot of times you want to be careful of just barely getting into them so you can move that line out about 1/4 of an inch. Okay, but keep in mind then your stop's going to have to be all the way under here too. See, if this does fire, then our stop would be down here. Now, this is not doing an identified swing at all. This is just a trendline trade based on the angle that we just had. Okay, if they were to get it. Now, we know that we've got resistance up in here. Okay. Yeah, you could take longs, John, on your question, if it breaks a trend line. Now, what I normally like to do is break a trend line and see if they'll fake it and go back below the trend line. And then what I'll usually do instead is box it in. I just watch it. See, like if this actually goes below that line again, then I'll box it with this swing, which is my identified swing, on the other side. And can you take a trade there if it breaks that? That would be an identified swing on the left. And it did break a trend line. See there? Okay. And like I say, keep in mind that this is only a certain type of trade that you would want to take called a trend line break. Okay. And the fact that rather than, getting in on the thrust of a trade, you may get a bunch of the retrace. See, like for instance, they haven't even checked that swing right here yet. They for sure haven't checked this one. See this little micro swing here? So could I actually just take some coin right there? Looking to the left to trade the right? Probably. Tighten my stop just in case. Probably even add to it. Well, not two, but maybe one. If it actually touches it and pops up again. If it misses it, we won't get it. Did you take that trade today, Brian? Yeah, see, the thing is, when people have been with us a long time and you get to where you trust these trades like this, you can do pretty well with a trade like this if you just simply watch for it to break like an identified swing. Okay? Now, look at this one. This one may take me out because, see, now you have a low, a high, so far a higher low, but on the left side, you did break the identified swing. Micro. Remember, this is not your big trend. This is micro. This is your, when you're looking at this, you've got a high, low, lower high, lower low. Micro, secondary. Everybody see that? Is this going to work out? We're going to find out if it actually holds that swing right there. Let's see if it worked. Broke a trend line, so I'm not too scared of those. I usually box them. Still higher low so far, but not a higher high yet. There you go. Okay. Now, what if you were looking now? Keep in mind that this is still a short background and everything. So what kind of a trade are you looking for? Anybody? Mid-band? Box it. If it goes up higher, usually what I like to do so I don't get faked in is I'll go down to the swing that's identified. That way I don't get wicked into a trade. I'm not going to take a long because we already did. We're looking for a rollover at mid-band or higher. Now I'll go ahead and use that swing as soon as it takes this one out because that'll be identified. There it is. It's identified. Now this one's even identified. See it? What do you think about that trade? What about a phantom trade? What do you think about that phantom trade? Anybody? Well, don't wait too long because truthfully, that trade already fired in my opinion. It just hit line 6. I think I called that in the room this morning, as a matter of fact. Now there we go. We got a trade, but that's a lousy late trade to me. I would have boxed it right across there with that bar. And sometimes when I see it hit phantom like that, you just hit the market order because then you look to the left to trade the right and you can see the swing to the left. Let's see, I seem to get caught by the mid-band yellow bars I am in and then it comes back and gets me. One thing, Mindy, on your question, did you know that as a rule, now I'm not saying to do this with a bunch of contracts, but did you know as a rule when you get this first, matter of fact, let's just try it and see if it worked. My trend will not change until I take this out right here as long as my phantom is stepping down. Let's see. Lower high, high, low, lower high. I've actually done these before when I've gone and gotten my cup of coffee and gone ahead and, gotten in a phantom and put my stop at 0 instead by this little trend deal here. Engage it, and whoop, not 0. That's not what I wanted. I wanted 8. Anyway, I'm out. But you see what I'm getting at? You would actually just put your stop simply on line 8 and just let the trade ride. Now, when it started getting out of this mess right here, then you could start getting your stops accordingly. See, like right now, you have a high, you have a low, you have a lower high, but not a lower low yet. Okay, let's watch it. Now you have a lower low. So could you then bring your stop all the way down to there? And even here now. See, that's identified. See what I mean? Now keep in mind that with something like oil, though, from here to here, that's a $500 bill. But sometimes that beats the heck out of just getting stopped out when you get in a trade and they give you a few ticks and then right back in your face. Because as a rule, trends go with this particular indicator, which is your lightning 3. See how it's stair-stepping down, stair-stepping down, stair-stepping down. Not identified yet. Identified. Everybody see that? That's identified right there. Yeah, because see, the thing is, mid-band trades, truthfully, what I like better than mid-band trades, and I know Charles probably is going to disagree with me on this, but that's fine. Because to give an example, that's still a short to me. So I would not have been going long on that above mid-band. See, because all they did is just take out a swing. Now, let me ask you a question. Was this an identified swing at the time? Yes or no? Let's go down a little bit further. Was that an identified swing? No, because what it did, it just barely touched, probably wicked it, as a matter of fact, and then it took off. So this is the identified swing over here. Everybody see that? Always look to the left and the right. Because, yeah, they took this swing out, but they didn't take the real swing out to the left, and they kept heading down. Okay? Now, I can tell you this, that more than likely, if you look at these phantom type trades and just simply put your stop at line 8 on the short ones and line 0 on the long ones, for instance, did this actually turn into a phantom trade? We'll find out. Let's see. Okay, you'd have your box right across there. See, it never did. It never turned into a phantom trade. Then it changed to this color, and you're looking for this phantom trade. And where people get stopped out, I think more than anything, because I do it myself sometimes, you try to just get a few ticks, and if you do multiple contracts, you can't hold a trade for, a bunch of ticks. To stay with the overall trend, for instance, how long did this trade stay in the overall trend? Let's find out. And then we're going to have to wrap. We're running fairly late. How's the overall trend right now? Okay, identified swing, right? Is that a trend change yet? Did it go ahead and break down some more? Yep. See how identified swings will make a big difference in your trading? Now, if you're a scalper, you're going to want to use the identified swings on these two. Okay, like look for higher lows for a long and lower highs for a short. But if you're looking more for the overall trend, watch these lightning 3 swings. Because, for instance, here's a low, here's a high, here's a lower low. Okay, this is your identified swing, isn't it? Now, did it take it out? And look what it did. Matter of fact, could you actually buy that? Well, I started to, but see it right there at mid-band? Why did that change trends? Because it took out your trend line and it took out your identified swing. See that trend line? and this identified swing, low, high, lower, low, that is definitely your identified swing on the left at the time. Actually, it was on the right at the time. See here? You're on the right. It took it out. That's an identified swing. When they take those back out to the upside, then they're no longer heading down. Now you have a low, high, higher low, higher high. So this is your new identified swing on Lightning 3. Everybody see that? And you see how you can get into trades a little bit quicker by watching for identified swings? Watch it for just a second and see if it takes it out, even with the phantom. Let's see if it gets a phantom. Identified swing. Box it. There you go. High, low, higher high, higher low, higher high. New identified swing. Now, will that help everybody's trading a little bit more? Absolutely. And don't go against the identified swings. Okay, even if they change backgrounds and things like that. Now, this didn't. This stayed with, your phantom heading down and all that. But this could have easily, gone up enough. Let's say that this identified swing was way up here instead, and they just came to here instead and then rolled over. But that was still green. Well, you could have still had one of those moments where you broke support and you headed back down again. So always watch for these identified swings. They're extremely important. And when they break them, they head the other way. Okay? Light bulb went on in the head, several people said. Cool. All right. And keep in mind, we don't hit every single trade, spot on the money, because we're looking at all four of these trends. And there's times that you can get a little bip on a smaller lightning, and you want to be careful with that. Okay? Right now, I can see that this is a lightning swing right here. If they break it, they more than likely will at least come down to probably here. Okay? So, but keep in mind that you don't really want to, trade this to the downside just yet, right? Because this is actually stair-stepping to the upside. I'll just fast forward it 500 times and see if it held for the whole time. Still an uptrend, isn't it? Identified swing. See it? Whoops, sorry, I moved it. Identified swing. We're going to wrap here in just a second. Identified swing. Barely identified those. See 16 to 22? Be careful, because this is what I call a primary identified swing, and they could easily take this down a little bit more and still head up. Now, so far, now they can't, because that's really identified. Now, this one's identified. High, low, higher, high. And your secondary one is right here. They can't take this one out if they're going to continue up, period. And it looks like I ran out of data. Anybody look at your charts, and I just about bet you they didn't take that swing out right there. High, low, higher, low, higher, high. Primary swing, secondary swing. Okay? Thanks, everybody, for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. And keep in mind, this is the way we teach and trade every day. Hope it helped. Let's see. So when it's doing all the... Well, keep in mind, Mindy, it depends on how long you want to hold a trade. Because just to give you an example, let's say that you got in down here when this broke this identified swing. Let's just say that you had seen this, you saw it dance around mid-band like we teach quite a bit, you boxed it, and it went up, okay? You could hold a runner even with these pullbacks, yes. Because there's lots of times that you could literally get some great coin and then just simply stay with the overall as it just heads up all afternoon. Absolutely. Okay, Lewis, I'm not sure I saw it. Let me see if I can find it, and then we got to wrap. Above question. So, Gary, Lightning 3 is primary. Lightning 3 is the swing that you want to really watch that, keep in mind you're watching 4 range bars. So they're doing a lot of sideways movement and things like that. But this particular swing, we engineered pretty well to get these swings. And they work on a daily basis. Okay, because we're looking at least 4 range bar with a 15 swing strength. And that's plenty to get these swings like that. Now, if I was looking at this, I'd be saying, you know what? I'm not really going to take this short until they take this out, because this barely has checked this one so far. And I consider this to be more of a primary swing and a secondary swing. And this could still easily come into phantom and head up. But if it breaks this, you could count on the fact that I'd look for a thrust, retrace, and a roll. All right. Again, thanks everybody. If you have any questions from tonight and I missed them, I apologize, but you can ask in the morning while we're trading. And keep in mind, I think we're closing on Wednesday because the markets are closed on Wednesday. All right. Again, everybody have a great evening. Sorry I ran it over again. That's two days in a row. Mindy, because President George H.W. Bush passed over the weekend, and Trump actually called a national day of mourning, and they're closing the markets at 8:30 Central Time. All right. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, I know that was a pretty big wow, because you're talking about billions of dollars, that are not going to be traded that day. All right. Thanks again.